students, how are you? I hope you are well. Welcome to a new class. Today we are going to cover Lesson 2 from Unit 14 from the Pupils book, page 56, Exercise 1, and from the Activity book, page 53, Exercises 1 and 2. Before we start today's class, we are going to answer the homework from last time. Let's solve the homework together. Ask your parents or grandparents at home to tell you how things were different when they were young. Tell us what they say in the next lesson, which is today. For example, they can tell you there weren't a lot of cars, and of course, as I told you last time, you can ask them about everything you know. For example, fridges, sports centers, cameras, hospitals, and etc. Now we are going to solve the homework together. These are answers that I got from my parents and grandparents. They told me there weren't a lot of cars, they lived a simple life, there weren't a lot of schools, and they used less technology. Of course, you can share what your parents or grandparents told you to your brothers, sisters, and friends. Now we are going to read the outcomes for today's class. Today we are going to pronounce learned English words correctly in reading a conversation, to demonstrate recognition of simple words in a reading text, to use punctuation at the end of sentences, for example, a full stop, to write semi-cursive English words correctly, and to write English sentences in semi-cursive handwriting correctly. Are you ready? Let's begin. And we are going to start with the words that we learned last time. DVDs. As you can see, this is a picture of a DVD. And there weren't DVDs when my father was young. So, in the past, there were no DVDs. But now there is more DVDs and more technology. So, there weren't DVDs when my father was young. We're going to write the same sentence but for CDs. So, there weren't CDs when my father was young. Let's write down the answer together. There weren't CDs when my father was young. Now we are going to move to the next flashcard, which is a picture of a mobile phone. And we can also say there weren't mobile phones when my father was young. Let's write down the answer together. There weren't mobile phones when my father was young. With a full stop as well. And the last picture is a picture of a radio. You can also say there weren't radios, for example, when my grandparents were young. Let's write down the answer together. there weren't radios when my grandparents were young. Now we are going to move to Pupils Book, page 56, exercise 1. And again, the title of our unit, Unit 14, is We Didn't Live in a City. Here, we are using the past tense in the negative form. Live becomes didn't live. We put didn't before it and we keep the verb as it is. I want you to look at exercise 1, listen and read. Let's describe the pictures together. If you look at the pictures, you will find Samira and Karim. Where are Samira and Karim? They are at their grandparents' house and they are talking about technology. Good job. Let's write down the answer together. So if we want to describe the pictures, we can say Samira and Karim are, where are they? At their grandparents. At their grandparents house. You can also say they are talking about technology. Now we are going to listen and read the text together so that we can answer these statements with yes or no. Let's read the statements, then you are going to listen and we are going to read, then we are going to answer them. Let's start with the first one. Grandpa didn't listen to music when he was young. Yes or no? Grandma lived in a city. Grandpa traveled to school in a car. Grandma walked to school. Grandma used a mobile phone. And Grandpa didn't watch television. So now I want you to listen to the recording. Then we are going to read the story and answer these statements with yes or no. As you are listening, I want you to write the answers. Let's listen to the recording together.
Pupils Book, page 56. Unit 14. Exercise 1. Listen and read. 1.
What's this, Grandpa?
Look, it's like a CD. You can listen to music on it.
I like this music, Grandpa.
We listened to music when we were young, but we didn't have CDs.
2.
When we were young, we didn't live in a city. We lived in a village.
We didn't travel to school by car. We walked to school.
3.
We didn't use mobile phones.
We watched television. We didn't watch DVDs. We listened to the radio.
4.
We didn't use computers when we were young.
But we like using computers now.
Now that we have listened to the recording, we are going to read together, and I will start with the first picture. Picture 1. Samira, what's this, Grandpa? Grandpa, look, it's like a CD. You can listen to music in it. I like this music, Grandpa. We listened to music when we were young, but we didn't have CDs. Picture 2. When we were young, we didn't live in a city. We lived in a village. We didn't travel to school by car. We walked to school. Let's move to picture 3. We didn't use mobile phones. We watched television. We didn't watch DVDs. We listened to the radio. Let's move to picture 4. We didn't use computers when we were young, but we like using computers now. Now that we have listened and read the story together, we are going to answer these with yes or no. Let's start with the first one. So we are going to read it. Grandpa didn't listen to music when he was young. Is this true or false? No, he listened to music, but he didn't use the radio, so we are going to write no. Grandma lived in a city. Is this true or false? It's false. She didn't live in a city, so we are going to write no. Grandpa traveled to school in a car. Is this true? No, it isn't. How did Grandpa travel to school? He walked to school. Good job. So we are going to write no again. Now for this one, Grandma walked to school. This is true. So we are going to write yes. Let's write it down together. Grandma used a mobile phone. Is this true? No, it isn't. She didn't use a mobile phone. So we are going to write no. And for the last one, Grandpa didn't watch television. This is true because they did not have television in the past. So we are going to write yes. Good job. Now we are going to move to the activity book, page 53, exercise 1. Look and write. I want you to look at these 4 photos. This is a picture of a CD. This is a picture of a mobile phone. And this is a picture of a radio. And this is a picture of a DVD. Now, we are going to write these words together. Make sure that when you are writing, to write between the lines with me. The first one is already done for you. This is a picture of a CD. Now, we are going to write this one. This is a picture of a mobile phone. Let's write it down together. Start with this and then we write mobile. Between the lines and phone. Let's write it together like this. Now we are going to move to number 3. What is this picture? This is a picture of a radio. Good job. Let's write it down together. A radio. And this is a picture of a DVD. We are going to write it together over here between the lines. Make sure that you are writing the letters D, V, and D again using capital letters, a DVD. Let's repeat again. This is a CD, mobile phone, radio, and DVD. Good job. Now we are going to move to activity book, page 53, exercise 2, look and write. When we were young, and this is Grandma speaking. She said in the first one, mobile phones, and we have an X. So we didn't use mobile phones. Now, as you remember, when we want to talk about the verbs in the past tense with regular verbs, we put ed if it is affirmative. So if it is affirmative, we just add ed. But if it is in the negative, we keep the verb as it is and we put didn't before it. So didn't, and then we put the verb, as you can see over here, didn't use. Now we are going to look at the next one. Radio has a tick, which means that they listen to the radio. So we are going to write for this one, when we were young, we listened to the radio, and here we are putting ed because it's in the affirmative form. Let's write down the answer together and make sure that you are writing between the lines with me. So we listened to the radio. And do not forget to put a full stop at the end of your sentence. Now, number 3, DVDs has an X. It doesn't have a tick. So this means that they didn't use DVDs when they were young. So Grandma is going to say, when we were young, we didn't watch DVDs. Let's write down the answer together. When we were young, we write between the lines, didn't, because it's in the negative, watch DVDs. Make sure that you are writing it using capital letters with a full stop at the end. And the last one is CDs. So CDs also has an X, which means that Grandma is going to say, when we were young, we didn't listen to CDs, or we didn't have CDs. Let's write down the answer together. When we were young, we didn't listen. Make sure that you are writing between the lines to CDs. And CD, we also use capital letters for C and D, and then we put it in the plural. And do not forget the full stop at the end of your sentence. So the sentences are going to be like, when we were young, we didn't use mobile phones. We listened to the radio. We didn't watch DVDs. We didn't listen to CDs. Good job! Today we read a story and we also learned how to form the past tense for regular verbs using the negative form. Remember, when you want to use the regular verb in the past tense in the negative form, use the verb as it is, but before it, write the word didn't. For example, use in the past in the negative form is didn't use, didn't read, didn't listen, or didn't watch, and so on. As for today's homework, I have a question for you. How many syllables are in these words? And the words are pupil, computer, television. Remember, syllables are parts of the same word. You can clap in order to know how many syllables are there in each word. For example, let me help you with the first one. Pupil becomes pupil. 2 claps, which means 2 syllables. Now it's your turn to solve the rest. Remember, practice makes perfect, and I will see you next time.